Good morning. Good morning. Good morning to you. Good morning to you if you're watching online. Good morning if you're in the room. Good morning if me doing this has just woken you up. So I particularly want to greet people that are watching online. Actually, I just want to say this. My good friends Chris and Lorna, who've been part of this church, came on Alpha. I met Chris for lunch this week, and I said, Chris, I'm going to give you a shout out. And particularly, I don't know if you know this, Chris played for Celtic. They've just won the league. So Paul McFadden, Celtic fan, been in Glasgow, and commiserations. I can't see Mari. Mari's on the desk at the back, a Hearts supporter. If you don't know what I'm talking about, it's the Scottish, the SPL, Premier League in Scotland. So, Chris, well done, mate. Lorna, lovely to see you. I say lovely to see you. I can't actually see you, but you know what I mean. So we're going through the book in the Bible called John. It's written by one of Jesus' closest disciples, followers, the Apostle St. John, and we're going to be looking at John chapter 6 this morning. So if you want to look that up, that's great. It should come up on the screen. Let's read from John chapter 6. I'm Kieran, by the way. I forgot to say that. Not very good at this, Jim. I'm sorry. I work here, okay? That bit's not in the bit that John didn't write that. Right, let's read this. Sometime after this, Jesus crossed to the shore of the Sea of Galilee. That is the Sea of Tiberias. And a great crowd of people followed him because they saw the miraculous signs he had performed on the sick. Then Jesus went up on a mountainside and sat down with his disciples. The Jewish Passover feast was near. When Jesus looked up, saw a great crowd coming towards him, he said to Philip, "Where shall we buy bread for these people to eat?" Now he asked this only to test him, for he already had in mind what he was going to do. Philip answered him, 8 months' wages would not be enough bread, would not buy enough bread for each one to have a bite. Another of his disciples, Andrew, Simon Peter's brother, spoke up. "Here's a boy with 5 small barley loaves and 2 small fish. But how far will they go among so many?" Jesus said, "Have the people sit down." There was plenty of grass in that place, and the men sat down, about 5,000 of them. Then Jesus took the loaves, and he gave thanks and distributed to those who were seated as much as they wanted. And he did the same with the fish. When they'd all had enough to eat, he said to his disciples, "Gather the pieces that are left over. Let nothing be wasted." So they gathered them and filled 12 baskets with the pieces of the 5 barley loaves left over by those who had eaten. And after the people saw the miraculous sign that Jesus did, they began to say, "Surely this is the prophet who is to come into the world." Jesus, knowing that they intended to come and make him king by force, withdrew again to a mountain by himself. So I don't know if you've heard this story before. It's commonly referred to as feeding the 5,000. Excuse me 1 second, I want to get this in early. Adam asked if I would lunge with my glasses, and I don't want to let him down, okay? So that was for you, Adam. That's kind of weird, isn't it? Everybody's thinking, who is this person? So the feeding the 5,000, okay. I asked myself this question, and I asked this question of you. You don't have to answer it. Why is it the only thing that is recorded in the 4 gospel accounts, Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, Why is it the only thing that's recorded in every single one of them, apart from the resurrection of Jesus from the dead, is this story of feeding the 5,000? It's the only thing. Every single one. I asked myself that question. Well, I think there's some answers I hope we're going to get to today, but it's good to ask yourself that question. Why is this fairly well-known story, why is it recorded faithfully in each of the accounts of Jesus' life? Yeah, I've been living in England now since 2012. So before that, I lived in Glasgow, and I moved here. Jim and the team very kindly asked me to I leave my job. So you already heard it mentioned this morning, the Alpha course. Alpha is an introduction to the Christian faith. My previous role was working for Alpha, but I was based in Glasgow. I had a national role, but also a national role within Scotland as well. So I moved down here in 2012. The week before I left, I loved my team up there. We had a small team. Or not the week, the day that I was actually leaving, as it turned out, nobody was in the office. We were in the middle of kind of like festival conference season, so we were out doing lots of events, speaking at things. None of my colleagues were there. Great send-off. So I'm in the office on my own, and here's what I decided to do. So we had, as I said, a small team. My dear friend Paul Davey, who heads up Alpha in the Middle East, Europe, Africa, he's an amazing guy. Why did I mention him? Oh, sorry, my brain isn't working. I have had a brain injury, and sometimes it doesn't work as well. So on my last day, I thought, what can I do to bless my colleagues? I'm here on my own in the office. Now, Paul, because of his role, was so important. He would often be out of the office. So whenever he would go out, I'd say, Paul, can I be in charge? But there's only about 6 of us. And he'd say, yeah, all right. So here's what happened. My daughter, who was much younger at the time, she made me a king of the office crown out of a jiffy bag. So she snipped like a zigzag thing to make a crown, cut the end of it. So, and she coloured it and put king of the office. So when Paul was away, I would put this crown on. Because we did lots of events, we had purple tablecloths. I would put a purple tablecloth round my shoulders, and we had posters, Alpha posters and stuff, and I would make a scepter, and my reign of terror would begin. King of the office. Ordering my colleagues around, make me a drink. But I was a kind and merciful king as well. So just a bit of fun, really, and inevitably there was photographic evidence of this. So here's what I did on my last day in the office. The A4 photo of me in my King of the Office crown, scepter, robe, I photocopied, I reckon, maybe 200 of those. So on my boss's laptop, Paul, as he opened his laptop on the first day I wasn't there, my face as King of the Office was there. The toilet seat, cupboard doors. You get the picture. King of the Office. Hid them all over the place. What I'm really quite thrilled about, one of my other colleagues, Peter Anderson, contacted me 2 years ago and said he'd just found another one from 2012. We've just read that the crowd pressed in to find Jesus. Jesus was withdrawing, but the crowd pressed in to find him because of the miraculous signs that they'd seen. And at the end, they wanted to come and make him like king by force because of the miraculous sign of feeding so many people. And today, if you're watching online, or today, if you're in this room, it's kind of like that sometimes, isn't it? Where Jesus is trying to get your attention. And for my colleagues, it's a silly illustration, really. Maybe, my mate Pete Anderson opened one of the accounts books, and my face is there. Sometimes when we're in life, we can very quickly forget the moment where we're thinking about Jesus. But He loves us so much, he keeps bringing us back, keeps bringing us back. It's like those reminders in my office where people, terrifyingly would open their laptop. Jesus wants to get your attention. The whole book of John, page after page, it says, this happened as a sign. These things are written so you may believe that he is the risen one, the Son of God, Jesus Christ. So this is just a little reminder. The feeding of the 5,000 is just a little pointer. It's bringing you back. It's bringing you back to Jesus. Do you need that today? Maybe your life is, you would describe it as living hell. Do you need to be brought back to Jesus? Is this like you're opening your laptop, a reminder of the King? And we see this amazing story unfold. And as I said, it's recorded in other accounts and Gospels. And you see a beautiful interaction between Jesus and the people he cared for around him. Not only his immediate friends, his disciples, his followers. And I love the way he just decides to handle this. I mean, he's God Almighty. He knows he's got no problem in sorting out this crowd who are hungry. The Bible records that Jesus has compassion. Is your life living hell? Jesus has compassion. He has compassion on these people. He doesn't want to go home hungry. He wants to feed them. You see, in one sense, this story is about physical food. But really, it's a sign. It's the sign. It's the sign that it's not about physical food. It's a sign. It's an illustration that Jesus is the bread of life who can come into your living hell or your living heaven and satisfy everything within your heart. Some of the accounts, it says they collected up the pieces that were left over. Everyone ate and was satisfied. Are you looking for satisfaction in your life? Here's one that's kind of reminding you. Don't forget, for my dear colleagues, I wonder if they forgive me when they, open a file and my face is there, Can you look to him? Again, we read in this story, it's amazing how Jesus wants to involve people. Has anybody ever had a bad day? Maybe you're having a bad day now. Maybe this is making your day worse. Thank you, Emily, for the shock that you expressed in that. Or agreement, I can't tell really from here. Have you ever had a bad day? I was thinking back. One of the most challenging days I can remember, so way back when I was at college, I studied photography. I do enjoy photography. So at one point, I had quite a collection of SLR cameras and lenses and all sorts. But I kind of moved away from that. I gave all my camera equipment away. And one of Sarah's cousins, he was a chief petty officer in the Navy, he was marrying his longtime fiancée girlfriend. And they said, look, we know you did photography. Would you come and do the wedding pictures? And look, I know what wedding pictures involve. So look, I ain't the right person for that. One, I didn't really want the responsibility, if I'm honest. Two, I'd given all my camera equipment away. And three, I just didn't want to do it. So he said, look, there's only going to be, I reckon, 10, maybe 12 people at the wedding. We just want some snaps. So I think, do you know what? I've got a little bit of ability in photography. I'll do that. So The wedding day approaches. Here's what happens. I didn't do the maths. Here's what happens. So the wedding is in Troon in Scotland. And they said, oh, could you meet us at the house? So I go to the house. The bride is beautiful, but they're going to pipe her from the house, as in like a bagpiper, not like some sort of drainage pipe, just to be clear. They have a piper, and the family are going to process through Troon to the church. And I'm thinking, this isn't what I signed up for. And I get to the church. The Church of Scotland minister is in full military uniform as he's a chaplain. Andrew's getting married in full military uniform. There's a load of people like doing the full military uniform thing. So the chaplain's there. His top half is full military uniform, bottom half is kilt military uniform. Go in. There's maybe 400 people. So I'm in there, saying to Sarah, this is really quite a big thing. If that ain't Jesus, turn it off, please. Do you know, I've been wanting to make that joke for years. Listen, if that was you, no, answer it, please, because it's going to be more interesting, seriously. So I'm saying to Sarah, I'm feeling a little bit nervous about this. So there's a moment in the wedding service where and it's very formal, where the chaplain says, and I wasn't expecting this, he said, will the official photographer now please come out to the front of the church? You talk about having a bad day. This was a bad day. So here's what I'd done in preparation. I said I'd given all my camera equipment away. You know those like disposable cameras that you have at weddings? So there's this big announcement. Will the official photographer please come to the front of the kirk? So I'm like, I'm doing the walk of shame. And he said, we'd like you to take a photo of the bride and groom. So I get my camera out of my pocket. This is a bad day. It's a bad moment. What can you do? I took the photo, walked back. And then the reception was where the British Open Golf Championships are. And there's these hundreds of people. And Andrew said, is it all right if we get a photo? So I had to go up on the roof of the building with my camera to take a photo of everybody. It's a bad day. This has got nothing to do with the talk. I just need to get this out. It's just so painful. But here's what happened. There were some people with very expensive digital SLRs with lenses and stuff like that. So I said, guys, I've been caught short here. Can you help me? And we did it together. And when you read the story, Jesus says to the disciples, he says several things. In some of the other accounts, he says, well, initially he says, where are we going to get bread to feed these people? And they're like, you what? No, this is a bad day. It's a bad day. 8 months' wages aren't going to feed these people. And Jesus is helping them along. And he says, one of the other accounts, how many loaves have you got? How many loaves have you got? And then Andrew says, we found this lad here. He's got some food. It's not much, though. It's not going to go far. And you get this sort of team dynamic that Jesus could have instantly, miraculously, just put food in everybody's hands. But somehow, mercifully, kindly, he wants He wants to use you and I. I don't mean use in the wrong way, but he wants to work. He wants to work with you. He wants to draw alongside you. He doesn't want you to feel exposed. You having a bad day? Let me tell you about Jesus' bad day, because in this account it doesn't record it. But the immediate thing that happened before what I just read to you and what we're talking about was this. Jesus found out one of his best friends, his cousin, had been brutally beheaded, John the Baptist, brutally beheaded by King Herod. That's the background. Having a bad day? Maybe you've had some bad news. A difficult thing is happening in your life. This is Jesus' bad day. Makes my bad day look rubbish. Jesus' bad day was he's just found out John the Baptist, the cousin, same age. One he'd grown up probably playing with. The one that he'd had banter with, probably. Brutally executed by King Herod. Brutally murdered. So here's what he says to his disciples, is, come on, let's withdraw from the huge crowds. Let's come away and be by ourselves. And it says at the beginning of this that they go up on a mountainside. Can you imagine the pain that's in his heart? Can you imagine the grief? Look, he knows how you feel. If you're suffering today, he knows what that feels like. The shortest verse in the Bible is this: Jesus wept. Also in John's Gospel. He knows what it's like to have a bad day. He knows what it's like to have a bad life. Born in poverty. Refugee. People trying to kill him. Hated. Reviled. Accused of wrong things. Betrayed. I mean, you go through the list. Every possible human experience and emotion that maybe you're struggling with this morning or potentially will struggle with, Jesus can say, do you know, I feel your pain. Let me walk with you through it. Will you remember him? Will you turn to him? Will you open the laptop and remember, oh Jesus, you're still with me. You're still there. Jesus fed 5,000 people, it records in this amazing story. And there's 12 basketfuls left over. Crazy abundance. Whatever you're facing, he has enough for you today, and he's got enough for you for tomorrow as well. There's abundance. Do you know, I've been at this a while. I'm now the oldest person on staff. I'm not much longer for this world. I've seen some stuff. I've been through some things. Can I recommend Jesus to you? Can I say that if you trust him, he won't just give you bread and fish for a day, he'll give you bread and fish for a lifetime. He is the bread of life. And I've walked through difficult things. If you're wondering, should I turn to Jesus today? Doesn't mean it's going to be easy. It could be really hard. In that same period in Scotland, New Frontiers sent me to help with the church plants. It went disastrously. I was abused by a guy who was in authority there. It's abusive to myself and my wife. And bless him, Lord, I've forgiven him. But church can be painful, guys. Church can be so painful. So I end up working in Glasgow Fruit and Veg Market, going through the boxes of rotten fruit and veg to feed my family. And you think, God, you brought me here for this? But then in one night, I got a phone call from Nicky Gumbel and the guys at HTB saying, will you come and work with us? Before I left here, your brother said to me, I think God's saying when you go to Scotland, you're going to reach the whole nation. And we were in a church plant, a new church, that was probably the size of that drum kit. We weren't reaching anybody while we tried. And weirdly, this isn't a boast about me, it's about him. When I worked for Alpha, I had the opportunity to speak in front of thousands and thousands of people to reach the nation, every corner of that nation. So what's in your hand? Jesus said, how many loaves have you got? What have you got in your hand? I never thought I'd end up doing this. Look, I've got a certificate here. Who doesn't like a certificate, all right? Got a certificate. I love a certificate. So I don't know if you know this. It's probably hard to believe, but I've been theologically trained. I know that's a surprise to many of you here. I have been theologically trained. In 1990, I did a 2-year course called Equipped for Ministry, theologically trained, okay? My certificate, here's what it says. It's signed by Terry Virgo. Some of you know that name. He presented me the certificate. Do you know what it says? Kieran Dunn, grade D. See, I'm looking at William. He's laughing because you've heard William. Honestly, he's built an extension for the side of his brain because he's so clever. He's my favourite preacher, apart from all the others that preach, just saying that. Why am I saying that? Listen, I didn't go to university. I left school as young as I could. I didn't go to university. I'm grateful for the education that I've got. I'm not knocking education. I've read, many books. Can't remember any of them about Jesus, but I've read them. Steve here, all right, his office, he's inherited Terry Virgo's office because Steve's last office, he had so many books, you couldn't see Steve. You go in, Steve, I know you're in there somewhere. Steve, and you hear this voice, I'm here, Kieran. Steve is he's one of our pastors. He's a real pastor. I'm an ex-pastor. Why am I telling you that? Because God chooses the foolish things to shame the wise. He chooses the things that are not to nullify the things that are. He'll take however broken a person is, however mixed. Listen, my life has been so broken. I come from such a broken, dysfunctional life. But he can get the pieces, he can heal and put it back together and say, come and do this. And he'll do that for you. He'll do that for you. I wonder if Paula and the band could come out. Because we're looking at feeding 5,000, I asked if we could do the song Feed the World. But, feed the world. Do they know it's thank you? But it's not Christmas, so we're not going to do that one. Grade D, Equipped for Ministry. What am I doing here? And yet the kindness of God said, Kieran, you're my man. You can help point people to me. Insert name here. You are my man. You are my woman. He loves you. Whatever he's got for you. It's not what he's got for me. He's got something perfect for you. And he can multiply what you've got and feed multitudes. We're going to sing, and then I'm going to come up and pray afterwards, if that's all right, Paul.